The 2022 January transfer window has officially closed, in an eventful deadline day which sees the end of Pierre Emerick Aubameyang's Arsenal career. Many Arsenal fans are rightly very disappointed, because in a window where they have heavily chased a big name centre forward and tried to sign a short-term central midfielder, Edu Gaspar and his team have ultimately failed. So where did it all go wrong, and what's next for the Gunners? Let's find out in the final episode of The Transfers FC. Yo, what is going on, guys? My name is Babs14. Welcome back to your boys channel, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys right now, I'm just very dejected because I expected a signing, at least something, but instead Arsenal have left us Arsenal fans starving with nothing to eat. But anyways guys, smash a like if you enjoy the content and subscribe if you're new, and let's get straight into all we have to discuss. And starting off with transfer deadline day itself and the Arsenal transfer news. In particular, let's start off with Mr. Pierre Emerick Aubameyang. Now in terms of yesterday, we had reports coming from the reliable David Ornstein confirming that Aubameyang was close to reaching an agreement with Barcelona. But in terms of today, let's just say it's been a very hectic day for Mr. Aubameyang. It all starts off in the morning when Aubameyang was spotted landing in the Barcelona airport on his own without his agent. But when you see the player arriving in Barcelona, you're thinking this is now a done deal. Of course, why would a guy travel all the way to Catalonia if this wasn't already agreed? Well, my friends, let's just hold it right there, because according to reports in Spain then, neither Barca or Arsenal knew about Aubameyang was travelling to Barcelona. So essentially speaking, Mr. Pierre travelled all the way on his ones to Barca without any sort of agreement in place, essentially giving us his best Peter Odewingie impression. And then you had another twist in the afternoon where we had breaking news coming out from David Ornstein, who claimed that Aubameyang to Barcelona was off, except for a last minute surprise. Essentially speaking, Arsenal could not agree a deal with Barcelona when it came to his wages, as Arsenal had made it very clear they wanted Barca to take as much of his wages as possible, but with Barca in financial disarray, they could not agree a deal. So now you've got us Arsenal fans thinking Aubameyang gonna stay. What on earth is Mikel Arteta gonna do? Is he going to bring him back into the Arsenal first team? But then, my friends, we had another twist, because with another David Ornstein exclusive, he claimed that Barcelona had reached a verbal agreement with Arsenal, subject to contract, to sign Pierre Emerick Aubameyang on a 6-month plus 1-year deal that, if completed, will bring the end to his Arsenal career. So essentially speaking, Arsenal and the player came to agreements which would see his contract be completely terminated and Aubameyang to go to Barcelona on a free transfer. And then you had confirmation from the main man himself, Mr. Fabrizio Romano, who says that Pierre Emerick Aubameyang joins Barcelona. Done deal, here we go. Contract agreed and now set to be signed by Aubameyang in Barcelona headquarters, with the medical successfully completed. Arsenal will save a huge salary as they wanted, deal in place. So with this being yet another contract termination, Arsenal have saved a lot of money. And when I say a lot of money, I mean a lot of money. Because as Dharmesh Chef and Sky Sports confirmed, Arsenal, even though there was no fee, because he's got 18 months left on his contract, they'd be paying him $350k a week. They will make a savings of around £25 million on Aubameyang. But in terms of us fans, we're not accountants. What fans want to see is Arsenal being ambitious in the transfer market, signing the players and helping the team advance. So while it is great to hear they have saved £25 million and great on Pierre's behalf, if these guys don't use it in the right way, of course many fans are going to be left frustrated. But regardless of that, Pierre is now officially going to be a Barcelona player, and it brings to end for me a very successful individual Arsenal career. 4 years to the day of signing for Arsenal, 113 goals and assists later, 1 Premier League Golden Boot, 2 Cup final goals and an FA Cup as an Arsenal captain later. All I can say is a gargantuan thank you and wishing you all the best in the future, Mr. Pierre Emerick Aubameyang. Yes, the ending was very sour and it's not how I wanted to see it end, but most importantly, this guy was brought to Arsenal to score goals, and on that behalf, 113 goals and assists and around 160 Arsenal appearances. Individually, that is a very impressive number. From the North London Derby goals to the FA Cup final and the semi-final, regardless of how things may have ended, I will always be thankful to Mr. Pierre Emerick Aubameyang. And all I'm going to say is best of luck at Barcelona, best of luck at Spain, and best of luck in the future. But in terms of yourselves, what would you rate Pierre's Arsenal career out of 10? Let me know down below in the comments. But with Aubameyang leaving Arsenal, of course, many Arsenal fans anticipated that Arsenal might just sign a new striker. And the player they were targeting, of course, was Swedish international Alexander Isak. And in terms of that, we actually had breaking news in the morning from Mundo Deportivo coming out of Spain, saying that yesterday Arsenal made a bid of €69 million, £58 million for Alexander Isak. But Real Sociedad have made it clear only the €90 million release clause would see the player move. So essentially speaking, according to reports in Spain, Arsenal had a bid rejected for Alexander Isak, and it makes a lot of sense why. Now in terms of Arsenal, as David Ornstein had claimed, Arsenal would try to negotiate his release clause down because Arsenal don't want to pay £75 million for him. So Arsenal tried to negotiate a deal, but in terms of Sociedad, they were always going to reject. And that's because what club is stupid enough to let one of their key players leave on the last day of the transfer window, giving them absolutely no time to sign a replacement? If Arsenal was serious about negotiating a fee and not paying that release clause, this is something they had to negotiate a long time ago. So all the time that Edu Gaspar wasted on Dusan Vlahovic, even though he made it very clear he did not want to come to Arsenal Football Club, this has ultimately matters what has cost Arsenal in the Alexander Isak transfer saga. And then you had the Telegraph confirm that the Arsenal target Isak flew back to Spain after his weekend visit to London, as Real Sociedad president plays hardball over a £76 million buyout clause. Now I am sure that Isak will remain on the Arsenal transfer list, but that will be more of a summer 2022 move, and when it gets to that point, it's going to be even more hard, because don't you think that other teams are also now going to enter the race, the likes of Man City and co, that also want to sign a striker? But in terms of yourselves, do you agree with Arsenal's decision to not pay that £76 million release clause that Real Sociedad wanted? So with Arsenal not paying Isak's release clause, according to reports in Spain, they turned their attention to Raul de Thomas out of Espanyol, and you even had the Espanyol chairman confirm that Arsenal called for Raul de Thomas. It was a one-time call, but we hardly wanted to listen. Our position is clear, we will not let Raul de Thomas go, especially not in the middle of the season. But in terms of the player himself, I'm not quite sure about him, but as you can see, he's a very important player to Espanyol. So just like with Alexander Isak, unless Arsenal pay a massive amount of money, no club in the right man would let such an important player leave halfway through the season, and this is always the issue that Arsenal were going to face in the January transfer window, unless of course you pay a release clause. And you even had Pedro Almeida of Portugal claim that Arsenal asked for Benfica's Darwin Núñez on deadline day, but the answer was negative from the Portuguese club, as Darwin does not want to leave Benfica until the end of the season. So if anything, for me, this once again exposes in terms of Edu Gaspar how he failed in this specific transfer window. He put all his eggs in one basket, and that being Dusan Vlahovic. Let's not forget that Arsenal started negotiations with Vlahovic all the way back in October. So they had from October to December to realise that Vlahovic did not want to come to Arsenal. His agent wasn't picking up our calls. So when you spend so much time chasing a player that does not want to come to your club in just a 31-day transfer window, you're not giving yourself anywhere near enough time to go for your plan B or plan C. And that ultimately leads towards a very panicky strategy of who's available, who can we get, and who is the panic buy that we're going to sign. But talk to me about yourselves and your own thoughts about Edu Gaspar down below in the comments. Despite Arsenal's last minute attempts, Arsenal have not signed a single centre forward in this transfer window. And so with that kept in mind, as Fabrizio Romano confirmed in the morning, Arsenal had no intention to find a solution for Eddie Nketiah on deadline day. Newcastle's approaches have been turned down also yesterday. He is now expected to stay until the end of the season, and then he could leave as a free agent. Our remaining strikers now are Alexandre Lacazette and Edouard Nketiah. Look at those options there and tell me with your chest that Arsenal have enough goals there to get Champions League football. This ultimately puts a lot of pressure on the likes of Emil Smith-Rowe, Bukayo Saka, Gabriel Martinelli, players that are all under the ages of 21. But with Aubameyang leaving, Arsenal signing Isak or Vlahovic, what have you guys made of Arsenal's pursuit of a centre forward in this transfer window? And do you think that Arsenal have enough firepower to get into the top 4? Moving on to the other confirmed Arsenal transfer news, because throughout all the negativity on social media today, Arsenal have actually signed a player out of the MLS. And no, it is not Matt Turner, because they officially announced that Arsenal have completed the signing of defender Austin Trusty in a permanent transfer from the Colorado Rapids, but he will remain with the MLS side on loan. Trusty will join up with Arsenal on July 17th. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I don't have a clue who this guy is. All I do know is he's 23 years of age and is a centre back. And as you guys can see, he's signing from the Colorado Rapids, which if you guys aren't aware is a club owned by Mr. Stan Kroenke. So you guys can make of that what you will. In terms of the US fans that have watched this guy potentially play, what's your thoughts on Austin Trusty, and is he a good signing for Arsenal Football Club? Because I myself don't have a Scooby-Doo. And so in terms of overall Arsenal incomings, you have both Matt Turner and Austin Trusty out of the MLS, but both won't be available for Arsenal until the end of the season. And in terms of official outgoings, you've got Ainsley Maitland-Niles, Folarin Balogun, Sead Kolasinac, Pablo Mari, Tyrese John-Jules, Callum Chambers and Pierre Emerick Aubameyang. Now in terms of outgoings there, I've seen a lot of outcry on Arsenal social media that, oh, we've let go of so many players without replacing them. Now while I understand that fans are frustrated because of the lack of signings, and in terms of first teamers there, you've only got Aubameyang, Maitland-Niles and Chambers. Now in terms of Aubameyang, he's not played a single minute since the start of December. Maitland-Niles had made it abundantly clear that he wanted to leave Arsenal back in the summer, and in terms of Callum Chambers, he was technically Arsenal's third choice right back behind Cedric and Tomiyasu, who were both injured when he played. You also have have a few loans there, and the rest of them are all players that are associated as Arsenal dead wood. Because after all, over the years we've cried about this. When are Arsenal going to get rid of the dead wood? Now these guys are doing that. I don't want to see us fans complaining. But in terms of the Arsenal squad now, these are the remaining players. You've got Leno and Ramsdale as the goalkeepers, Tomiyasu, Cedric, Gabriel, White, Holding, Tierney and Tavares as the defenders, Odegaard, Xhaka, Smith-Rowe, Lokonga, Partey, Elneny as the midfielders, and Saka, Pepe, Lacazette, Martinelli and Nketiah as the forwards. So in total 18 outfield players and 20 players in total. And this is how the Arsenal squad looks on paper. Essentially we still have 2 players to play in every single position. So while I do understand why fans are very angry because we wanted to see signings, and in terms of that squad we got rid of players that simply weren't good enough, that us fans have always cried to leave in the first place. And also in terms of the whole 18 outfield players not being enough, that is a complete and utter lie. Because go look at the team top of the table, Man City, and go on their website. These guys are walking the Premier League with only 18 outfield players. And I've always said in terms of the most important part of the first team, it is that central midfield. If Thomas Partey and Granit Xhaka can remain fit and available, I believe that Arsenal still have a good chance of making the Champions League places. Because in the 7 games that these guys have started in the league this season, Arsenal have not only scored 20 goals, conceded 5 goals, and we've also won 5 out of those 7 games, with one of those defeats being against Man City. But talking about the top 4 right now, of course, Arsenal sit in 6th position, only 2 points off 4th place Man United with a game in hand. Now in terms of Arsenal's next game, of course, is in 10 days time, and that is against Wolverhampton Wanderers away, which is not going to be easy. And with Arsenal out of both cup competitions, we only have the Premier League left to focus on. So with fingers being crossed and hoping that the Arsenal key first teams can remain fit and available until the end of the season, with 17 games left to play for, Arsenal still have a massive chance of making the top 4. And also look around in terms of our top 4 rivals. Manchester United were desperate to sign a central midfielder, but once again they failed. West Ham were desperate to sign a striker, but once again they failed. And even in terms of Tottenham Hotspur, a lot of their fans aren't happy with their business either. There is still a long time and a lot to play for, and if Arsenal play their cards right in terms of the first team players and they remain available, in my eyes and in my opinion only, I think Arsenal can still make the Champions League places. Maybe I'm being very hopeful and a positive Arsenal fan, but 2 points off the top 4 with 17 games left of the season, I do believe in this Arsenal first starting 11. But looking at the remaining Arsenal squad and Arsenal's failed pursuit over centre forward, what are your thoughts of the Arsenal chances of making the Champions League places? I want you guys to comment down below that where do you guys think Arsenal finish come the end of this season. But that is the video around there, and that is the final episode of the Transfers FC. So if you guys have enjoyed, smash a like on the video, subscribe if you're new. If you would like to follow your boy on them social medias, and the links will be down below in the description. But that was the final episode of this one, Transfers FC, and let's just say ultimately I am still very disappointed. But at the end, no Vlahovic, no Isak, no Guimaraes, no Otter. But as an Arsenal fan, I'm still trying my best to remain as hopeful as possible going into the future. We'll see what happens, and I'll see you guys next time.